unfortunately, people haven't experienced disability and they just don't know how to approach it. I don't think it often comes from a place of malice. It's just ignorance.
We all know that providing access for people with disability is important. But how often do most of us actually hear from somebody navigating and negotiating that access and enjoyment on a daily basis? Today's guest is going to give us the lowdown. His name is Andy Gilovitz, otherwise known as Adventure Wheels. Andy, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, really good. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name's Andy from Adventure Wheels _Melb. I was born with spina bifida and later in life had another disability come along called a bilateral dissection of my carotid arteries. And then, unfortunately, I had a bilateral dissection of my carotid arteries. And then after that, I had a T10 hematoma, which paralyzed me. And then I spent around 8 months recovering in hospital to learn how to walk again, where I'm part-time in my wheelchair and the other time with my walking aids, so 2 crutches.
Wow, that is a lot of things to happen to one person in a so far short life. So how does your spina bifida and the spinal cord injuries impact your life day to day?
Listen, it has challenges. It can be quite hard on me and my partner. Trying to navigate life with disabilities. At the moment, we're living in a small apartment, and it's nice. It's nice. We can still go out and see how beautiful Melbourne is and how creative Melbourne is, which is things that we really love about Melbourne.
Yeah. And what kind of food and dining experiences do you love to experience?
In general, I love eating Asian food a lot. And so I tend to go to a lot of Asian-style restaurants. Some of the highlights, I think, for me have been on the high-end Super Normal is one of my favourite restaurants. But also for a cheap eat, I really like Dragon Hot Pot, which is, there's obviously a few of those around, and they're just really nice dining experience there, and also very wheelchair accessible.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's really good to hear. So, I mean, what kinds of things make a restaurant great for somebody who is in a wheelchair or has reduced mobility?
So I think having a ramp to get in is always a really big help, but also having accessible toilets and space in between the tables, so I can wheel through to get to a table, or if I've got my crutches, get through in between the tables as well.
And what kinds of things can be a real challenge for you?
Once again, stairs can be my mortal enemy at times. And I think also I've had a couple of experiences with restaurants where they've had really slippery bathrooms, which are really slippery and can be dangerous for a falls risk. So that's always a big challenge. And also when people speak to my girlfriend instead of speaking to me, thinking that they're doing the right thing, and I can understand that they may have a few. I'm not sure if I'll be able to understand or anything, but if they could start speaking to me, would also be great.
Yeah, that must be really off-putting and upsetting. I mean, I think people's attitudes are so much a part of, well, I suppose, hospitality is all about interactions between people, and, you've sort of pointed to some, I guess, attitudes or behaviours that can be challenging. I mean, what other kinds of attitudes do you encounter when you're out and about that could be, I don't know, could have an impact on you?
Disabled toilets is a big one. A lot of people I think will just go into the disabled toilets and just say, "Oh, there's nobody there. I'll just be in there for 5 minutes." But what they don't realize is a person with special needs, although they might look normal, they may have continence issues. So what's 5 minutes to you isn't long. 5 minutes to a person with continence issues can be a big problem and really have a bad and a bad night for a person.
Yeah, wow. That's yeah, really good thing for people to keep in mind, because I guess, yeah, it's perhaps, it's often might be the only toilet that's empty and available, but that doesn't mean it's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen sometimes you've given feedback in an Instagram post to a restaurant, and then they've sort of taken that on board. Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah. So we had this experience where we went to have a meal out with some friends, and we went to a this restaurant in the city, and we looked on the internet, and it had wheelchair accessibility there, and we were excited to go there. And we got there, and the staff member just said, "Carry the wheelchair up yourselves." And then, thankfully, that day I was feeling strong, so I got out of my wheelchair and got up there. They didn't open up the door for us at all, and the manager was very rude to us, and we left there after our dinner, and we were quite upset. So we wrote some Google reviews, and they reached out to us and asked us to come back. So we did, and they were significantly better the next time. So that was great that they helped us up the flight of stairs the next time and were a lot friendlier to us and really made the night a lot nicer.
Wow. I mean, it would be great if, all restaurants could, I guess, have that education without you or someone else with special needs experience, going through what you went through to educate them. I mean, overall, what do you think, from a planning and perhaps training point of view, what do you think restaurants could do better?
I think just make sure that the staff are friendly and are engaging to the person with special needs. The fact that they can talk to the person and ask them what they want is, will often put a smile on a person's face.
Andy, I write restaurant reviews, and it's, often a topic that comes up, among teams that I work with about, how do we note whether or not a restaurant or cafe is disability friendly? You've pointed to a number of different aspects that can make a place more or less welcoming for someone with, different abilities. Do you think there should be like a standardized criteria for somewhere to be to get like a wheelchair symbol, a disability friendly symbol? Or do you think it's, I don't know, is it about an attitude and a willingness to accommodate people, for wherever, however they present? Like, is it, yeah, what do you think?
I think that's a really good idea. If they could do that, would be fantastic. And one of the reasons why we ended up doing the blog was because we just found that there was so many restaurants that were false advertising with what they were offering for people with special needs. And another thing that would be fantastic is if more places could have a ramp, whether it's a permanent fixture or if it's one that they can just bring out to sort of help people with special needs get into the building.
Yeah, I actually noticed that on one of your posts as well, where, you basically gave the restaurant a favourable critique, but you noted that they didn't have a ramp, and then they commented straight back, "Oh, we're getting a ramp. We've just ordered our ramp." So, That's great, but I guess you can't be everywhere, doing this work.
And I also think sensitivity training for staff in restaurants would be also a very good idea.
So what would that entail?
So there's been a situation where we had an experience where somebody was unpleasant to me and my partner. And so we just think that if that person had a bit more training, they could have avoided that situation, and we would go back to that restaurant because the food was nice.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, where do you think that comes from? I mean, this isn't really for you to answer, but do you think I mean, why are people like that? Like, what is it about someone who's approaching the world differently that gets people offside?
I just think it's unfortunately people haven't experienced disability and they just don't know how to approach it. I don't think it often comes from a place of malice. It's just ignorance. Like I remember recently, I was buying my partner a Christmas present, and I went to a shopping center and went in and purchased a handbag for my partner, and the a staff member just came up to me after I had paid for the object and just said, "What happened to your legs?" There was no sort of tact there. No, "Oh, hi, my name's George. Would you mind me asking what happened to your legs?" And I wouldn't have been upset at that point. It was the fact that he just came up to me and said, "What happened to your legs?" With a smirk on his face was very cruel. And so it took me a couple of days to track down the correct email, and then I got in contact with this store manager, who asked me if they could give me a call, and they apologized to me on behalf of the company, and said that they've had problems with this staff member before asking these sorts of questions, and that they were taking that very seriously and having a meeting with him. So I think that the company dealt with it very well. It was just unfortunate that the staff member obviously had no filter.
Yeah. Just on the, sorry to just make it about me, but if I'm writing a restaurant review and I want to note whether a place is disability friendly, like, let's say they've got a wheelchair toilet, but they don't have a ramp. Or let's say they've got a ramp and a wheelchair toilet, but the tables are quite closely spaced. And, I don't have perhaps room in my article to go into all that detail. Do they get a symbol for doing some things, or is it only if they've really, done everything right that they should deserve to be called disability friendly?
I think maybe they could have different symbols for this will be okay for a person with partial mobility versus no mobility versus an elderly person who might just struggle with steps a little bit. So obviously for me, sometimes I can get out of my chair, sometimes I need my chair and I wouldn't be able to get it out of it. Where if I'm a little old person, or maybe all they would need is a handrail. So I think if they were to have different colours, just like disabled parking, I think if they have more disabled parking near these restaurants, it would attract a lot more people with special needs to be able to go and access these places.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because I think it's such a sort of virtuous circle where if, there's more access, then there's more people who are frequenting these places, and people do, have more experience of people with disability, and it's not something that it's just normalized, which of course it should be. And then, it creates a better environment. Then I'll come back again. And I don't know, I feel like it's definitely a society-wide issue that I feel like, we all need to do better at.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
What are some great things you've eaten recently, Andy, while you've been out and about?
So I got invited to Corey's Ice Cream, which was fantastic. So many different flavored Japanese ice creams that I absolutely loved was a highlight. Also, David's Hot Pot. I got to go to the Carnegie launch and really enjoyed that. Heidi Lau, absolutely love going there.
Oh, yeah, wow, all great, like all such good flavors. What do you love putting in a hot pot?
Um, oh, that's a that's a good question. I love okra. I love the beef. I love corn in there. Yeah, so I just like putting in a lot of vegetables and some meats. Not too much in the seafood though.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you have, I mean, what about traveling? Do you like to get out of Melbourne and experience other places as well?
Yeah, that's always really nice. And, going to places like the Mornington Peninsula Hot Springs is always really nice and enjoyable. And I suppose the good thing about the hot springs there is they've got the handrails to get to the higher things. But I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, you've got the bottom pools to be able to get into, but you won't be able to reach the higher pools. But it's still accessible. So I really enjoy that, and also being able to get to Dalesford and places like that is always really a fun day.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, I can see that you go to a lot of effort to experience great places. And, I'm the same. I'll travel anywhere for good food. What is it that draws you to restaurants in general? Like, what is it that you love about going out to eat?
I just love trying new foods and being able to access the city. Yeah, I really love food and wine.
Great. Well, I definitely feel like we are fellow travelers, and I really appreciate you giving me an insight into, what things are like for you and how you experience restaurants, and some things that I might take for granted, like squeezing between tables. I'll look at in a different way. So thanks for opening my eyes, Andy, and hope to see you out and about. Perhaps at the hot pot station.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you reaching out and organising this interview. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Great to have you on the show. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinenat deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This